Good morning, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I hope you're somewhere cosy. Oh, well, here we are at the beginning of February. And it's turned a little bit colder. I know that for a lot of you in places around the world, this is not cold compared with what you have. But for us, now that we're kind of hovering around 0, that's kind of our cold. Excuse me, cold's made me tickle. Yeah, I'm just looking at the thermometer in the shed. It says it's 3 degrees. I believe it's about 0 outside. A little bit of frost around still. But I reckon it's like this most years when we go into February. I seem to remember that we generally have a sort of mild December, mild, sometimes wet January, and then it's February where we get our cold. And then, oh, excuse me, itchy schnozzle. And then we get into March and we start to get normal again. Don't think about the garden again. So I'm going to take you around the garden at the beginning of February. Very little change. But I think what I'll do as we go around, I'll just sort of briefly talk about some of the jobs I want to get done in February. There's not a huge amount, but I thought what better than to have a walk around the garden and I can chat and plan with you guys as we walk. And then after I've done the tour and I've spoken to you all and I've turned the camera off, I'm going to do, I don't know, anything that's kind of physical, because it's too chilly to be sitting around doing nothing, way too chilly. So despite many, many layers, it's not the day for just sitting and daydreaming. Right, come on, let's get out into the garden. Oh, I do love brassicas with that little touch of frost showing on them. Gorgeous. So, here in bed number 1, you can see, actually let me show you on the grass, you can probably see where it's still a bit frosty. In fact, one of the jobs I had thought about getting on with in the next sort of couple of weeks, or at least in this next week, was to give the grass a trim, give my edges a trim, but I shan't while we're so frosty, because the grass won't enjoy that, so I should just leave it be. But yeah, down to the last few cabbages now. Oh, here comes Rosie. What do you want, Rosie? Do you want to cuddle by any chance? Last few brassicas, or cabbages should I say. I still got a nice chunk of carrots in here, so that's about half the bed left with carrots, and a couple of cabbages in that bed still too. The fantastic Cavallo Nero just keeps coming and coming and coming. I mean, you can see from the bottoms of them, and you can see how much I harvest. Just keep harvesting, and they will keep giving and giving and giving. And it's amazing how it stands up to this cold temperature. I mean, look, it looks so happy and healthy, doesn't it? I don't know how much we're going to be able to tell today with the light, because the light is so low. It's actually beautifully bright this morning for a change, but isn't that a gorgeous sight? I don't know, what is it about frost on brassicas that's just, I find it extraordinarily beautiful. Look at them all, going into the sun a bit now, but never mind. Absolutely gorgeous. And of course, gorgeous to eat. The sprouts, well, they really haven't wanted to come to anything. I've got a couple more to pick on here. So, I really don't think I'm a sprout grower. But, as you saw a few videos ago when I was going through my seeds, I have a few left over. And I've been given a few of the red one. So I am going to try again. Nothing happening here, that's all topped up. So what's this going to be next year? Who can remember? Can you remember? Remind me. Oh, I know. This is going to be tomatoes. I keep saying next year. It's this year now, isn't it? So this is going to be 2 beds of tomatoes, but absolutely nothing to be done here yet. Celeriac look a bit floppy in this frost. Yeah, because with the tomatoes, they won't even go out till right towards the end of May, if not beginning of June, when all danger of frost has passed. So these beds can just take it easy. And obviously with this bed, where I've got all the clippings and what have you underneath, the longer it's got to sort of compost, the longer it's got for the worms to play in it, the better. Yeah, we are suddenly getting a little bit frosty, as you can see. Actually, let me come the other way, the light's so bright. But it's so lovely. The birds are twerping away. Twerping? Chirping. That's tweeting and chirping is twerping. It sounds like a rude dance. Yeah. So there we go. Long shadow time. Really nothing going on, but I love this sight anyway of the frost. So one of my jobs for February is, I'm going to come this way actually because the light's so tricky. With the broad beam bed, are we going to be able to see in here properly? Very little. Where I've got all those gaps, I think some of them were mashed by foxes when I had the little nets on. But where I have got gaps, hopefully during February, towards the end of February, I'll be able to, I've got some more seed and it's a spring sown variety, so hopefully I'll be able to plug these gaps. And then obviously these autumn ones will harvest earlier, so as soon as any of the autumn sown ones are harvested and out, I can get the cocoa de Pampol in. And then if some of the spring sown ones are still harvesting, just leave them in for a little bit longer. It's not ideal, I would have preferred to have all autumn, but you know, well, that's how it goes. So yeah, if I'd got on top of things in terms of plugging those gaps, but never mind, can't do anything about that now, so just make the most of what I have got. Again, just quiet, nothing going on. This bed next year is going to be, not next year, I keep saying next year. Oh my word, it's going to be, I can't think, what is going in here? Oh, I know, spuds at the top end. Oh, my mind's gone completely blank. But in any case, all these beds have been tucked up for some time now. I think the last one to get done down here, or no, that was the last one to get done. That was back in mid-November. So yeah, the longer they've got with the leaves rotting down and the bits of compost and what have you, well, the longer the better. So there's no hurry to do anything there. Shan't be touching it at all this month. I don't think I need to do anything. You've seen the other day that I had out the calendula, so I've just got every spare stick I can find just to weigh this cardboard down, and underneath there I've got some hardly composted at all stuff out of the bin. But again, this bed, I won't need to touch it till at least the beginning of April, so just leave it there and let the worms get on with it. The colour's amazing today, isn't it? Because the light's so bright. I mean, you know, I've shown you that it's frosty, but look at that. So much green still at this time of year. Gorgeous. So the garlic are doing perfectly well. They will do well for a bit of frost, as I understand it. I've never understood why, but a bit of frosting helps the cloves to split. So yay to a bit of frost. Still need to find some mulch. Purple sprouting broccoli, still looking absolutely magnificent. And that should start to sprout. Oh, that's not actually going to be until probably end of February, beginning of March for me. But that will be a great bit of scoff after basically all the brassicas in the top bed. Oh, you can't see now because of the broad bean nets. But once that bed is empty of brassicas, which will happen by the end of, probably by about the middle of March, that'll be empty. Then fabulous. I'll have masses and masses of purple sprouting to feast on. Okay, so one of my other jobs for February is I want to sort out the path in the middle here. It's not really a path, it's not going to go anywhere, but it's just going to be a sort of here, and it's literally just somewhere to step onto in order to be harvesting, because this bed is a little bit too wide for me to reach right into the middle from either side. So I'm going to do it from bricks. I started to do it. Oh, we're going to have shadows again, ignore that. I started to do it, as you can see here, just to get a rough idea. I just laid some bricks down, but I haven't had any bricks to do it with. However, I have got lots of bricks around the plot waiting down my cardboard covers. So what I'm thinking, I've seen a pile of sort of broken slabs, so I think I'm going to go and raid this pile of broken slabs, and then basically where I've got bricks on the allotment, I will swap them. So all the bricks that are over all these beds holding the cardboard down, I'll swap those for bits of broken slabs, and hopefully there'll be enough bricks to put in here to make a little path. So that's another job for February. Oh my goodness gracious me, I don't want it to be January again. Oh, I forgot to say as well, actually let's come back up the path a sec. It'll be easier to explain up here. So, this year, where I'm going to have my beans either side of the paths, so for example, where we've got a bed here and a bed here, I'll have poles on the end, arch over, leaving a bit of a gap where the paths are. So what I need to do now is on the ends of these beds is just dig out sort of a spade's width and a spade's depth, a bit of a trench on the end of each row, and that will basically so for instance if it's here, I obviously have to move the wood a bit, do this little trench here just along the edge, and then repeat that for all the beds, all the ends of the beds that are going to have beans. Keep these trenches open, and then over the next few months that will be the receptacle for all my any kitchen waste, any garden waste, shredded and soaked newspaper. It's basically going to be what the beans are going to have their feet in. When I come to sow, I'll scoot the soil. So where I've dug them out and piled the soil up there, I'll then just pull the soil back, pop my seeds in, and that's a nice bit of compost down there. It will help to retain moisture because the beans really hated the dryness and the heat of last summer. So that should help. So yeah, that's another job for February. Oh, there's a few things to be getting on with, aren't there? But not many. So yeah, I need to plug my broad bean gaps, make my bean trenches, think about making this path in the herb bed. But again, look, just little pops of colour. How lovely. I don't know if we're going to get snow. We keep being threatened with it, but at the moment I'm enjoying this beautiful light, this frosty, crisp, beautiful morning air, the birds. Oh, yeah, it's definitely winter, but it's just so glorious in this light at the moment, isn't it? Right, I think it might be time for me to get on with doing something a bit more physical, a bit more exertion, because my feet are going numb. Now, does that look like a bit of a curious mess? Something I forgot to mention the other day when I was putting my spuds out to chit is that obviously they're down in my shed, there's absolutely no heating in here, so just be mindful that if we are due a frost, like we are obviously getting, give them a little bit of protection. So I've just dumped all this fleece over the top of them for now. That should just give them just enough protection from the frost to keep them safe for another couple of weeks until they're ready to come out and carry on doing their chits. It's a massive piece of fleece and I didn't want to cut it down. So the rest of it's all bundled up and piled up there on the end of my workbench. Oh, it does the job though. It does the job. Right, let's have a proper sit down and chat. Cool. The light today definitely belies the truth of the temperature. Ooh. It's always my toes. I've put my wellies on today because it's been so frosty, and in the areas where the sun has sort of been on the grass for a while, where that frost is melting, it's really soggy underfoot. So I thought I'll put my wellies on, I'll be sensible. But they don't half conduct that cold into your toes, don't they? Despite 2 pairs of socks, and one of them is a thermal pair. So it's definitely a time to be getting on the move. I think February is quite an interesting month in the garden in some ways because, well, put it this way, I think in January we all kind of think, well, you know, there's not much going to be going on, what can you do? And I think we're all sort of getting over Christmas and that sort of thing. But as we go into February, I think it's natural in us that we want to start to get on with things. It's still a great time if you've got maintenance jobs to do, if you've got repairs to make, if you've got buildings to construct, fantastic. But as far as the actual soil is concerned, there's really very little needs doing. Unless you're luckier than me, you're finding some mulch material from somewhere, you know, just keep adding it, great. Yeah. Now my attention, apart from those couple of little jobs I was mentioning, my attention is going to turn more and more indoors for the month of February. First few sowings, ostensibly my peppers, and when I've got a spare 5 minutes here and there, I shall start the process of making dozens and dozens and dozens of paper pots to do my big indoor sowings come mid-March, thereabouts. So yeah, hold on to your hats, folks. We're a little ways off yet, but I don't know, there's something about the light today. And I don't know if you're noticing, but I literally, it was a couple of nights ago, I noticed, 5 o'clock, and there was still light. It's happening. Spring is definitely just around the corner. You have to believe it, despite the fact that my toes are frozen. I know some of you are really freezing too. But yeah, keep patient, keep the faith, keep the hope. Spring will happen once again. Oh, right, I really need to go and get moving now because I'm turning into a solid Vivi, frozen in time. So I shall say cheerio to you all now. I hope you have a wonderful February in your gardens, whatever you get up to, whatever fun projects you've got, whatever little bits of building you're going to get up to. That's if you can get into your gardens at all. For those of you who can't, well, happy seed starting indoors. I know quite a few of you have got dedicated areas in your homes, whether it's your basement or garages, where you set up your sort of grow stations. Yeah, it's really starting to happen, isn't it? So, have a wonderful February, everyone. I'll see you before too long, I hope. But in the meantime, stay snug, stay cosy, and take care of yourselves.